Yo, what's going on, fellas? Welcome into this week's episode of the Highline Podcast. As you guys can see, I'm riding solo this week. We normally like to get this Highline Podcast out on Wednesday afternoons, but William was running into some school issues. I tried to give him an extra afternoon and even this morning to see if maybe he would become available. And unfortunately, he's just bogged down with college. So it's just going to be myself. We'll, of course, make sure what we always do the same thing around here. We'll always, of course, look back at the previous race, which was at the Homestead Speedway there, and then we'll look forward to at Martinsville this weekend, where we've got the last race there in the round of 8. We'll know when we preview next weekend's race, we'll know who are the 4 drivers that are racing for the championship. So, all right, with that being said, let's just go ahead and kick off today's show. Again, we'll look back at that Dixie Vodka 400 there at the Homestead, where Kyle Larson absolutely kicked butt, coming off the controversy there with Bubba Wallace in the previous race there at Las Vegas. He put all that behind him, one stage 1, one stage 2 under caution, and one stage 3. It was an absolutely dominating fashion there by the 5 team. That being said, it still is an absolute fantastic race, and I talked about why I thought it was going to be a good race because Las Vegas and Homestead were both 1.5-mile tracks. Both of them were around about the similar banking, and because I thoroughly enjoyed the race at Las Vegas, I thought we were going to get that same sort of thing at Homestead. And even though Kyle Larson and the 5 team dominated, you got a great race. There was great racing and passing throughout the entire field. So to me, I would rate it an 8, an 8.5, maybe a 9 out of 10. It was absolutely fantastic. There was, of course, controversy like there is in every single race. Not necessarily controversy, though, with Chase Briscoe, but he was a little bit unfortunate getting caught up there in an incident which ended his day. Now he goes into Martinsville in an absolute must-win situation, but he's not the only driver in a must-win situation. We'll, of course, talk about those other guys when we preview Martinsville, but other than that, I think the real issue controversy, and I'll only call it a controversy just from what I see on social media, I didn't have any problem with it, was the Martin Truex issue there in stage 3 on pit road. And I put that all on Martin Truex Jr. People want to blame Kyle Larson for getting in the back of him and spinning him, but to me, in watching it live and in watching the replay, Martin Truex Jr. went in his pit stall late. And when you go into your pit stall late and you make a hard turn, you're going to get clipped. And what is Kyle Larson supposed to do there? He can't check up. If he checks up, he's going to get rear-ended by the train of cars that are coming down pit road. So I put 100% of the blame there on Martin Truex Jr. He was having a good run, so I'm a little bit gutted for him. He's had a tough 2022 season, and maybe that was a race that he would have gotten his car in the 19 car in the victory lane, but you make the mistake, you go over too late to your pit box, and I don't see how Larson can avoid making contact with the 19. So maybe controversy in your eyes, but to me, that's fully on Martin Truex Jr. That's a racing incident, and I don't know how Kyle Larson avoids making contact there. So other than that, again, a nice, good, clean race, not a whole hell of a lot of drama. You had a couple issues there, guys spinning. Most notably, they were John Hunter Nemechek there in stage 1, but it's the first time in a Cup car here in this next-gen car here on the Cup Series, and he found out the hard way, just like every other driver's been finding out this season, that the ass end of the car can come around on you, and you can go for a little bit of a spin. But yeah, good race, not a whole lot of drama. I thought it was good, and I was fully expecting that. Again, just like we got in Las Vegas a couple of weeks. I leave the Homestead Motor Speedway with the same thought I had coming into it, that Ross Chastain remains my favorite. Trackhouse racing, the one team, is bringing speed every single week. Doesn't really matter what track. I've just been super impressed with the one team in Trackhouse racing. So with 2 races to go, obviously we don't know if Ross Chastain is going to be racing for a championship down in Phoenix, but if he is, boy, he's awfully strong, and he remains, I think, my favorite to go ahead and be the NASCAR champion. You wouldn't think that. Trackhouse racing, little old team Trackhouse racing. That's what this next car gen does, and that's what NASCAR wanted. Competition throughout all the teams. Anybody can win on any given Sunday. And you're seeing that with Trackhouse. They've been impressive this entire season, so we'll see if maybe they can't bring it home here in the last 2 races. But that is my early favorite for winning the championship, is Ross Chastain. Just been really impressed. So, all right, good race down there at the Dixie Vodka 400. Again, at the Homestead Motor Speedway. Was thoroughly enjoyed by that one. Hopefully you guys liked it as well, even though Kyle Larson dominated. Again, I thought there was great passing throughout the entire field all race long to keep it a nice, good, entertaining race. So, all right. Kyle Larson got the win done. Now we go ahead and turn our attention now to Martinsville this weekend, though, at the Xfinity 500. Big question mark around this race this weekend is, will there or will there not be passing? You guys remember at the Blue MU 500 Pain Relief earlier this season, there was no passing at Martinsville. William Byron led like over 200 laps. It was an absolute snooze fest of a race. Are we going to get a snooze fest, or will there be passing this go around at the paperclip? That's really the only conversation. If you don't get passing, okay, we know it'll be a boring race. If you get passing, though, now you want to add in the last race of the round of 8, guys trying like hell to make the championship 4. It's going to be absolutely chaotic. And it could be chaotic maybe without the passing, because the guys are going to get frustrated that they're unable to, pass and get up, and they just start. If they're close enough, on a short track, the big ones can happen on a short track, not just on these super speedways. You can get some big pileups on the short tracks as well. So that's what I'll be looking for earlier in stage 1. I'll be looking for the amount of passing throughout the field, not just obviously for the lead. Are we getting passing throughout the field, or are we getting another snooze fest like we got earlier this season at Martinsville? So other than that, we know there's only one driver that's locked into the championship 4, and let's go ahead and show those standings right now. It's only Joey Logano. He got in through his victory there at Las Vegas. Otherwise, you can see that Chastain, Elliott, and Byron currently sit above the cutoff line and poised to join him in Phoenix and racing for a championship, while Hamlin, Blaney, Bell, and Briscoe are the ones below the cutoff line. If I look at those 4 drivers below the cutoff line, Blaney, Bell, and Briscoe, to me, are the 3 that are in a must-win situation. I don't believe Hamlin is in a must-win situation. You could see a scenario where Elliott or Byron or maybe even Chastain have a bad run, have a mechanical issue. Maybe they get caught up in an accident. And if these guys finish, 36, 35, 34, Hamlin can certainly make that up without being in a must-win situation. Blaney possibly could make it up without being in a must-win situation, but he may need to win. I think Hamlin, though, at only 5 points out, could really pounce on one of these guys having a bad finish. Again, whether that's mechanical or an accident, whatever has it be, he could take advantage of it. So I still like Hamlin's chances without getting the win, while, again, Blaney, Briscoe, and Bell, I think they're certainly in a must-win situation. If we look back at that race earlier this season at Martinsville, let me remind you guys, there was no Toyotas that finished in the top 5, which is a little bit surprising, right? Hamlin's always good at Martinsville. Truex is good on these short tracks. Even Kyle Busch is obviously good at the short tracks. There were no Toyotas that finished in the top 5, so that's going to be something certainly to keep an eye on. If I look at some guys that can maybe have a good finish and have a good run this weekend at Martinsville, I'm going to go ahead and look at Ryan Blaney. He's got the best average finish at 5.6. He's got the 3rd best driver rating amongst the field since 2019, and 7 of his last 10 races here at Martinsville have all been in the top 10. So I think Ryan Blaney is the guy that you saw last week. You saw at Vegas. Team Penske is trying to come on, and they're coming on strong. Blaney's been missing out throughout much of the season. Maybe this is a run here at Martinsville where he can go ahead and get his car to victory lane. If it's not going to be him, I would also certainly look at William Byron. We talked about him. He led over 200 laps earlier this season. He was the defending champion, or he comes into this race as the defending champion here. And he's been strong on short tracks, much of this season. We know throughout the playoffs, he's been one of the strong guys collectively in all the rounds, the 16, the 12, and now the 8. William Byron's been strong, so I would look for that 24 team to have a good run. I would also look for Chase Elliott. Remember back in the spring when Byron wasn't leading all the laps, Chase Elliott led 185 laps himself. He won stage 1. He won stage 2. So we'll probably look for Chase Elliott, to have a strong run this weekend as well. So that would be the main things I'm keeping my eye on earlier on. Again, is it passing or no passing? And then those are the guys that I'm going to be generally going to be leaning on, to have a strong run here. At Martinsville, we of course know there's no NBC Sports Predictor contest. We didn't get one the last couple weeks. We actually had a great follower here, Kyle, comment on the video. I think he probably hit the nail on the head. Somebody won the jackpot on NBC, and they don't want to give out any more cash the rest of the season, so they've gone away and unfortunately removed that contest. I thought it only added to the viewing experience. And I thoroughly enjoyed that game. And, of course, there's also no game also on the Fox Bet Super 6 app as well. So also give you guys my top 3, how I think the race will unfold. And then I'll give you the 4 guys I think that'll be racing for the championship down in Phoenix the following week. So in terms of Martinsville, how do I see the top 3 unfolding? I've got Hamlin. Hamlin's been really strong at Martinsville. Again, I know he's been a little bit off the pace, and Toyotas were off the pace back in earlier spring. But I look for Hamlin to have a big-time performance. Remember last season when he entered the playoffs, he was one of those drivers that was just missing out, and then the playoffs hit, and then all of a sudden he turned it on, got a win there in the first race. I believe it was Darlington, the first race last season. I'm looking for Hamlin to kind of show up again in this big spot. Hometown kid here, going to Martinsville. I like Hamlin, so I've got Hamlin taking the checker flag and having a big-time performance. I've got right behind him Ross Chastain, who finished top 5 last time we were here back in the spring. Been impressed with everything about Ross Chastain, so I like him in P2. And in P3, I like William Byron. I think Hendrick's going to be good. I expect Elliott to be good, William Byron to be good. I'm going to go ahead and slot William Byron in at P3. Remember, he was second in both of the stages in the spring, so it wasn't like he had a fluky finish, led a lot of laps, was right there all day long. So another thing that makes me like Ross Chastain even more is if you're not going to get a ton of passing, it could come down to which team is the best on pit road. That one team has been damn near just flawless on the pit road a lot of times this season. Mentioned it a couple of races ago. I think when they were in Vegas, remember they mentioned the broadcast crew, they said he had gained the most spots on pit road. It was in one of the pit stops in stage 3 where he had gained 8 spots on the day so far in pit road, which was number 1 amongst the field. If we don't get a lot of passing, or if we do get a lot of passing, wins and losses could come down to pit road. Look for that one team on pit road to just continue what they're doing, having great stops and getting him back out there in the front. So just another reason why I like Ross Chastain finishing high. So again, I've got Hamlin taking the checkered flag, Ross Chastain in P2, and William Byron rounding out the top 3 there in P3. Who do I have? The 4 drivers that are going to go to Phoenix and race for a championship. Well, we know it's going to be Joey Logano. If I've got Denny Hamlin winning this race in Martinsville, that means Denny Hamlin will also be racing for a championship. I think Ross Chastain will be joining those 2 guys in Phoenix, and I think William Byron, boy, have I been impressed. I think Chase Elliott's going to be the guy. When you look at the standings, you got to predict some little drama, right? We just can't just say, okay, it'll be Logano, Chastain, Elliott. Something's going to happen with Chase Elliott, even though I mentioned him being strong. Something's going to happen with Chase Elliott. I've got a feeling. Remember, he's always one that can get himself in some controversy here at a short track. So I've got Chase Elliott as one of the 4 guys right now locked into the playoffs to race for a championship. He's going to be the guy that goes ahead and falls out. So go ahead and give me Logano, Hamlin, Chastain, and Byron as your 4 guys that'll be racing for a championship. Otherwise, guys, unfortunately, that is the preview show here with no games to go ahead and play for and submit our picks. That's basically what we got here at Martinsville. We obviously, hopefully, we'll get William back in here next week. We'll only have one more episode of the Highline podcast this season where we'll, of course, preview the race for Phoenix. We'll know the 4 drivers that'll be racing for a championship, and we'll see if maybe my predictions are right, and then we'll see maybe who we predict to go ahead and race for that championship. So, nice. You're going to be at Martinsville this weekend. I love that. I bet that's a great track. I've been to Bristol a couple times, another short track, obviously. I bet you're going to be in for a nice race. You're going to get that playoff drama, playoff kind of chaos that you generally see, and especially with it being a cutoff race with, the championship 4 on the line. All right, man, enjoy Martinsville. I hope you have a fantastic time. I hope you have a fantastic time. I think you'll be in store for, even if we don't get the full-on passing, I think there's still going to just be a lot of chaos. So enjoy yourself there on Sunday afternoon down in Martinsville. So, all right, guys, I think that's how we'll do it this week. Again, we'll be back next Wednesday like we always are at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. William and I will be breaking down this race there. What'd you say? At the beginning of the race, it would be someone different, and hopefully Elliott and Hamlin will wreck. Guys are going to be pushing. Guys are going to be absolutely pushing like hell. And again, short track, you know how they're bunched up. And if you get a little bit of a wreck can become a big little wreck in a hurry. You can really collect some guys. So, and always watch out for Chastain. Remember, Hamlin has not paid back Chastain. Hamlin's got this big old long list of guys that he said he wants to pay back. Well, we'll see if maybe he can pay him back on the short track. That'll obviously be something else to keep an eye on. It's gonna be mayhem. Everybody wants to be one of those 4 drivers racing for the championship next week at Phoenix. All right, fellas, that's how we'll do it. Again, enjoy the race. Let me know in this comment section who are your 4 drivers you've got racing for the championship. I'm curious who the 4 guys you think that'll be racing for that championship. Again, I've got Logano, Hamlin, Chastain, and Byron as the 4 guys that'll be racing in Phoenix for a championship. All right, guys, enjoy it. And we'll see you guys next week here on the Highline Podcast. See ya.